Alexander's Feast or the Power of Music, written by John Dryden. In this video, we shall look at stanzas 1 to 3. It was at the royal feast for Persia won by Philip's warlike son. Aloft in awful state, the godlike hero sate. On his imperial throne, his valiant peers were placed around, their brows with roses, with myrtles bound. So should desert in arms be crowned. The lovely Thais by his side sat like a blooming eastern bride, in flower of youth and beauty's pride. Happy, happy, happy pair. None but the brave, none but the brave, none but the brave deserves the fair. Happy, happy, happy pair. None but the brave, none but the brave, none but the brave deserves the fair. Stanza 1 describes the temporal and spatial settings of the event and introduces several main characters of the poem. According to the opening lines, Macedonia's military victory against Persia under the leadership of Alexander the Great has provided an occasion for communal festivity. Describing the rich, costly, and luxurious royal feast, the speaker glorifies the godlike king, his valiant men, and his beautiful lover, Thais, declaring that no one but the brave deserves the fair. Timotheus placed on high amid the tuneful choir, with flying fingers touched the lyre. The trembling notes ascend the sky and heavenly joys inspire. The song began from Jove, who left his blissful seats above. Such is the power of mighty love. A dragon's fiery form belied the god, sublime on radiant spires he rode. When he to fair Olympia pressed, and while he sought her snowy breast, then round her slender waist he curled, and stamped an image of himself, a sovereign of the world. The listening crowd admired the lofty sound. A present deity, they shout around, a present deity, the vaulted roofs rebound. With ravished ears the monarch hears, assumes the god affects to nod, and seems to shake the spheres. With ravished ears the monarch hears, assumes the god affects to nod, and seems to shake the spheres. Stanza 2 introduces Timotheus, the bard of the event, and describes the beginning of his congratulatory performance. The bard's song celebrating King Alexander's birth as the son of Olympia and the Roman god Jove receives an enthusiastic response from the members of the audience who glorify the king as a deity. Lush imagery recreates the journey of moved by love, moved by Jove in a dragon's fiery form and riding on radiant spires to Olympia. He then stamped an image of himself, a sovereign of the world, and the audience assumes that stamp is Alexander. Jove's act, according to the chorus, seems to shake the spheres, a comparison of the warrior's prince's birth to a portent. It looks as if it was a sign or it was a warning about a momentous event that is likely to happen. Stanza 3 The praise of Bacchus, then the sweet musicians sung, of Bacchus, ever fair and ever young. The jolly god in triumph comes, Sound the trumpets, beat the drums, flushed with the purple grace. He shews his honest face. Now give the old boy's breath. He comes, he comes. Bacchus, ever fair and young, drinking joys did first ordain. Bacchus's blessings are a treasure. Drinking is the soldier's pleasure. Rich the treasure, sweet the pleasure. Sweet is pleasure after pain. Bacchus's blessings are a treasure. Drinking is the soldier's pleasure. Rich the treasure, sweet the pleasure. Sweet is pleasure after pain. Now, in stanza 3, the poem takes to a hedonistic segment of Timotheus' performance, which invokes Bacchus, the Roman god of wine, and celebrates intoxication or drunkenness, festivity, and the sweet pleasure that comes after pain. The third stanza praises the god Bacchus and his celebration and drink. The celebration that Dryden describes had followed Alexander's attack on the Persian capital city of Persepolis. The original story stresses the greed of the looting soldiers who lost all control in the thievery and destruction of priceless treasures. Timotheus foreshadows the increased destruction that will follow the drunk debauchery as he sings. Drinking is the soldier's pleasure, rich the treasure, sweet the pleasure after pain. So we see that the first three stanzas provide the backdrop to the poem's narrative as they describe the pleasure, the excessive pride, and excess involved in the beginning of Alexander the Great's celebration of his military success. Descriptions in this part of the poem are focused on images of visual and auditory extravagance, such as the brows of Alexander's peers adorned with roses and with myrtles, or the majestic opening of Timotheus' song, which inspires ecstasy and passion in its listeners. These scenes of jubilation are accompanied, however, by the onset of a dangerous sense of pride. While Timotheus' performance is dedicated to the deities, celebrating Jove's sovereignty and Bacchus's euphoria, these invocations lead to pride rather than religious humility, as they encourage Alexander to assume the god and the audience to exalt him as a present deity. At this point in the narrative, the king and his people are oblivious to their own vain glory. We shall continue to read the other stanzas in the next video.